My prayer in particular is titled When a Parent Returns to God. And it's based upon me dealing with the transition of my mother. It was very painful. I knew that the only thing I could do was lean and depend on him. And from there, I had to draw from scriptures. I had to draw from what had been poured into me concerning the word of God and concerning his promises. But prayer and understanding who I am in him, and understanding that we are spirits and we possess a soul, which is our thinker, our mind, and we live in physical bodies. And according to the word of God, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So that gave me the confidence and the comfort that I needed in knowing that I will see her again. I will.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to my very first PSA episode. On this show today, we are actually talking about planning for the future. I'm over 30 and I'm childless. I've always just wanted to do an episode like this to hear from other women to see how they are planning for the future, specifically with living arrangements. Also, I just want to hear, why they haven't had any kids yet. And I hope that you all truly enjoy the show today. I also hope that you go ahead and share this video now if you're watching from Facebook. So share. Sharing is caring. Also, what I also need you guys to do is go ahead and follow me on Instagram. And also, I need you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think I said like 3 things. Those are like 3 things that I need you to do. But one thing about the show is I love for these shows to be interactive. So any questions that you have, go ahead and post them in the comment field. Also, another thing is I like to just keep everybody informed so they don't have to go searching around. If you really enjoy these ladies on the show tonight, you can actually stay in contact with them. All of their contact information is in the description box. So I'm so excited to have Felicia on the show. I'm excited to have Latrice on the show. I'm also excited to have one of my high school friends, Shunna Dean, on the show. So ladies, how are you guys doing?
Very well. Thank you. Excited to be here.
You know what? So and one thing about this show is, just I love transparency. If you be like, Martinique, I need you to just get out my personal business a little bit, just go ahead and tell me. It's okay. Give me that look like, Martinique, don't say my name specifically because I'm not going to answer. But I'm so excited that you guys have decided to do the show. One of the crazy things about this particular topic. So for you all that don't know, I posted just a Facebook post just asking, if individuals were interested in being on the show. So I had about a solid 12 people that was like, oh yeah, I would love to possibly do your show. Then I told them specifically what to talk about. It was like, nah, I think that's a little bit it was like, that's a little bit too personal for me. I'm like, okay, and I don't want to put no pressure on nobody. So I was just like, okay, that's fine. I understand. But we got a solid 3 people, y'all. We got a solid 3 people. But like I said, to keep this show entertaining and interactive, this show isn't just for me to, just gain personal knowledge, but I also want this show to be informative to you all, the viewers, because you might be in this situation and you might just need those encouraging words, or also you might, need to start thinking about planning for the future. But this is going to be a great show and I'm excited. If you're watching from any other page other than possibly my page or the ladies' pages that's listed on well, specifically listed on their page. If you post a comment, I can't see it. So I need you to, ask your questions from my page so I can ask the ladies. So, ladies, I'm excited again. And if you could just go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself, how old you are, and we are going to start with Felicia.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Felicia and Rose Enuha, aka the trillest MBA you will ever know. And I am the creator, host, and executive producer of the Trill MBA podcast. So I had no problems coming on here and keeping it trill. I am 41 years old and I reside in a suburb of Dallas, Texas.
Okay, Shunna Dean. Shunna Dean.
Hello, my name is Shunna Dean, and I am currently 36 years old. A little bit about me. I just recently moved to the DMV area about 2 years ago from Houston. I just recently got engaged, so I'm excited about that. Hey. And I currently work at the DCVA as an infection control nurse manager.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Latrice.
Hey, everybody. My name's Latrice Murray. I am from Kansas City, Kansas. Currently, I reside in Kansas City, Missouri. I am recently engaged as well. I currently work training physicians and nurses on medical software. So.
Excellent, ladies. So now, if you just tuned into the show, make sure you go ahead and share this video now. So is there anyone on the panel who actually does not want kids? All right, moving right along. So,
I will say every day that passes by is a day that is like, it's like 50-50, and then it's like 49, 51, and every day I get older, it's like, I guess this is not going to happen. So it's okay.
Yeah. And I'm actually, I just want to let you all know that haven't watched my shows before. I'm 36 and I don't have any kids as well. But when I had my fibroids removed, because of the size of my fibroids, I had 5 fibroids removed in November of 2016. And the recuperation side of it, because they were so large, I had to, I had major surgery. And that was my first time ever spending the night in a hospital and having major surgery. And that pain, I was like, who would willingly, because my doctor said, well, Martinique, it was just like you had a C-section. I said, who would willingly put themselves through this type of pain? And for a moment, I had to consider, do I really want kids? Because I was like, this is crazy. And then I said, Martinique, don't let temporary pain affect your permanent decision of not having kids. Because I was like, oh, this is unbearable, mama. How did you do it? But I did want to ask that question because I didn't want people to, I didn't want to assume everybody, as a female, we just want kids. So I just want to throw that question out there to you all. So how come you all haven't had kids yet?
I can go ahead and chime in. I think that I have seriously just been waiting on the right partner, the right person to have children with. Not to be negative, but you see so many things with the baby mamas and the baby daddies and all those issues. You just want to make sure, like, this is a big step. I feel like it's the biggest decision you'll ever make in your life, because you can get married to someone and divorce them and they can be out of your life. But once you have a kid by someone, they're in your life forever. And not just when that kid turns 18, you're gonna have to see them at all events. And so you better be sure that that person that you're having a child with is someone that you can be with, because if not, your life is going to be a living hell.
Oh, facts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we just had a couple of people just join on, and they say, hello, ladies. We have Jennifer Mitchell and Doug Sims. Jennifer and Doug, if you can go ahead and share this video now and post any questions that you may have, then that would be great. That would be helpful. So anybody else want to answer that question? Why
Yeah.
haven't you had kids?
I'll answer. And definitely to piggyback off of what Shunna said, like, I just refuse, coming from a single parent household, to have a child without at least trying to have a husband first, right? So because I've been more focused on my career, and that seemed always easier than dating. I just always thought, oh, it'll happen when it happens, and it just hasn't happened. And I'm not going to be a single parent if I have any choice in the say.
Right.
So as you've gotten older, and with this show, y'all, just jump in. If you be like, Martinique, hold up, I want to answer that. Because I just tried to move it along. But as you've gotten older, was it an emotional process in accepting that you may not have children at all?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. It's I would say it's emotional, even just from like your parents and stuff like that, because they're getting older, you're getting older. So I don't know about you guys, but I start to get, well, when are you gonna have some grandbabies? When are you gonna get married and have grandbabies? So that can be emotional to people, because if you're not really ready, then to me it's kind of offensive. It's like, well, I'm not having kids yet because I'm personally not ready. Like, I'm not at a maturity level. Before, when I was ready to have kids, I felt I was too selfish. When you have kids, to be a good parent, you have to make sacrifices, and you have to put your child comes first. And I just felt like I was at a place in life where I wasn't willing or ready to make those types of sacrifices. So I didn't want to bring a child into the world and be basically a half-assed parent.
That's good. That's good. And that is so good that you're thinking about that child first. But go ahead, Felicia.
So I have a funny story to tell. I just graduated from business school. So I was like 32 years old. I was home for Christmas. So this was Christmas of 2010. And my mom was watching basketball, and she was watching some famous basketball player. He's like really tall, and his shoulders are huge, and his head is small, but I mean, that's probably a lot of him. But she just thought he was like really fine. And so she goes, there he is, Lisa. My family calls me Lisa. There he is, Lisa. That's your husband. And I was like, Mom, first of all, I'm like 10 years older than him. And second of all, he's not even that cute. And she yelled at me. She was like, I want a son-in-law. I want babies. Like, I was like, whoa.
Doesn't matter what you want.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on. I was like, are you breathing? You okay? Because I wasn't ready. But she yelled and screamed at me in that moment. And I was like, oh.
It seemed like that was pent up or something.
Yeah, like I was like, what is happening with you? I don't understand.
Yeah, just enjoy the game, Mom.
Right.
I also want to kind of piggyback on that in something what I said earlier. I did feel like me bringing a child into this world would not be something I wouldn't do without a partner. But I did consider that, if I hadn't met that person, that I would consider adoption. Because I feel like, the child is already here, and I would be able to give them the best home that I could possibly give them. And I thought that maybe that would be a best option if I didn't have kids. So I feel like at some point you kind of like think about like, what are your options if you don't have physically give birth to children, but what are your options that you could do where you would still be a mother, but you might not take the traditional role, quote unquote, of a mother.
Definitely.
My prayer in particular is titled When a Parent Returns to God. And it's based upon me dealing with the transition of my mother. It was very painful. I knew that the only thing I could do was lean and depend on him. And from there, I had to draw from scriptures. I had to draw from what had been poured into me concerning the word of God and concerning his promises. But prayer and understanding who I am in him, and understanding that we are spirits and we possess a soul, which is our thinker, our mind, and we live in physical bodies. And according to the word of God, to be absent from the body, to be present with the Lord. So that gave me the confidence and the comfort that I needed in knowing that I will see her again. I will.
But was there any like ups and downs just in your life, you know, as you did, you know, get older, and you was just like, man, maybe I'm never gonna have kids, and you was depressed, or did, you know, nobody ever have like the ups and downs of it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's like something you think about, especially when you see a lot of your friends have kids, your sister have kids that's actually younger than you. Like, you're happy for them, your nieces and nephews, but like all your siblings have kids and you're the only one, and you have a puppy, I have a dog, but I don't have any kids. So yeah, it's definitely emotional because you kind of have to come to terms with like, you might not have that happy ending where you have the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know for me, especially like when you turn 37, 38, 36, something around in there, and dating is just not happening. Like, it's just like, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've definitely cried myself to sleep many nights. I really did. But I think once I turned 40, and I don't know, something shifted, and it's just like, you know what, you just got to make the best of today. And I'm happier now than I was then.
So, Shunna, I know that you're actually getting married in November. So do you and your fiance plan on having kids?
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Right away. About to do a Meghan Markle.
And I think that that's one thing that I was nervous about, you know, as I've gotten older. Then I always just envisioned having that year with just my husband and not having any kids. You know, me and him just enjoyed each other. And then having kids. But I feel that when you're older, you know, and you do start having kids, it's kind of like a rush job on it now. You know, it's like, well, I need to go ahead and start having it. You know,
time's ticking.
Time is ticking.
So you only had 1 year? Like, I always envisioned like 5 years. Like, we get married and then 5 years. But then I also thought I was going to get married at like 26.
Okay.
I think we all did. Everybody.
I expected to be married as soon as I was done with college.
I know that's right. Just like having a job.
Yeah.
It's just all supposed to fall in line.
Yeah.
So, because of your age, though, Shunna, does your fiance want kids, or did he just leave it up to you to make that decision?
We were kind of on the same page, and I think that like as you get older, because he's 2 years older than me, so he's 38. I think when you're older, you kind of talk about that stuff in the beginning. So you can't just like, oh, let's wait and see and stuff like that. No, like you said, you don't have that kind of time. Like, as you get older, I think it's after 35, you increase your chance of not having a normal pregnancy. So
don't tell me that, Sean. Don't tell me that.
I mean,
it is what it is.
Those are the to deal with. I know and that's the realities. And like when you think about people, like I was like thinking about like Meghan Markle, like, and one of the things like they asked about was her having kids. And one of the things she said was, you know, she's getting older. I think she's about 37 now. And I'm sure that that was on her mind when she, as soon as her and Harry got married, was that you have to go ahead and do it because
started, knock them out.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Yes.
Yeah.
No wait.
No waiting.
Yeah, you kind of have to be on the same page. Yeah. And it's sad to say, and you know, you don't want to be on your first date like, so do you want kids? Yes or no? If not, I'm out. But it
kind of have to be though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
Exactly. I ain't got time to play with you. These eggs got an expiration date. And every day they're going bad.
So Shunna, are you two going to start immediately?
Yes, very, very soon.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm kind of like you. Like I always pictured, and that's when things become reality. Like you kind of always pictured, oh, we'll wait a year, we'll travel the world as a married couple, but that's just not the reality.
Travel before the wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do some traveling now, but it's just like you want to be like man and wife, and like, but I feel like that's not a realistic option.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear y'all. So Doug says, he says he didn't have his first child until 37, his only child. And then he said, but I'm a guy.
Yeah, thank you. I was about to say, okay, Doug.
But Doug, let me ask you this. If y'all hear some rumbling, tumbling, you know, I'm in Orlando, so we hurricane season right now. But Doug, let me ask you this. How long have you and your wife been married? If you are married, I don't know that part either. But you know, tell us that if you want us to know. So would you all consider having children without a partner at all?
No, absolutely not.
I don't want to.
Not at all. Never, ever, 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 ever. No. And I wouldn't even adopt. As a single parent. Like I'm open to adoption, but only if I had somebody. Like I just refuse to be a single parent. Yeah, I saw it. I don't want to live it. Mm-hmm. It's not my ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Shunna? Because I saw you was kind of hesitant on that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, like I definitely don't want to go through a pregnancy. I wouldn't consider going through a pregnancy by myself, but I would consider adopting. And when I say adopting, I consider it like maybe like a 2-year-old or something like that. I think.
Shoot, I'm doing a 15-year-old. Know how to do everything.
What?
Yes. Y'all pray for me. I know. Yeah. Like that whole child stage, like I want to give birth to a 10-year-old. I really do. I do.
No, you don't.
I really do.
No, you don't. That would be more painful than giving birth to the infant.
Right, because they already have their opinions.
Right, it's okay. That's okay. He can feed himself, or he or she. I don't want to exclude girls. Like I don't want to have no girls. But they can feed themselves. You know, they know how to talk. They can do a lot of things on their own. And that's what I like. I don't like the whole baby stage, you know, and Jesus knows. But but what about you, Latrice? Why wouldn't you consider having children without having a partner?
I just personally don't want to go through raising a child up in today's world without some help. You know, if I came from, you know, a single parent home, and it was hard enough for my mom back then, you know what I mean? But now it's so many things going on. There's so many things your children have to deal with at school.
Yeah.
You know, it's so many things you have to deal with, you know, and it's a lot. I wouldn't, you know, if at all possible, because things do happen, you know, and, you know, your spouse might pass or you get a divorce and you're forced into that situation that's different, but willingly, I don't want to be a single parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems tiring. I commend
Absolutely.
these single parents, because I know I just watched my nephew when he was a baby. And he made me tired. I was just like, I just can't. Like, I just commended my sister and my brother-in-law, because I was like, y'all are some good ones. He just wouldn't stop crying. But Felicia, I know that you are actually an only child. How was it for your parents accepting that you may not have children?
Well, after I got yelled at, I think, I don't know. So my mom passed in 2015. And I feel bad about the fact that if I do have kids, they will never know her. And that's kind of rough. But then that's also the same thing that's like, whoa, well, if I don't have kids, it won't matter because she ain't here. Or, and my grandma, my mom and my grandma raised me, they're both deceased. And so it's like, if I don't have kids, nah. I mean, the only thing at this point is like making sure I stay out the rest home. So,
what you call
it? The kids will help you stay out the rest home.
That's how we say, assisted living.
Assisted living.
Yeah. You are so country. Because I'm like, I am me and Shunna from Dayton, Ohio. We're like, what, girl?
What's going on?
It's the rest home.
The rest home or the old folks home.
The old folks home. Yeah.
Over there on Main
I
Street.
knew where you was going. To keep you out of there. Hopefully, if they're good children.
Oh my God. And the thing is, like, my mom, she had Lou Gehrig's disease. And so I had no choice. Like, she had to be in an assisted living facility, but like I literally flew home every weekend. I was always fighting with them for stuff. Like it is horrible. It is especially when you don't have money. Like if you have money, then that's a whole different story. If you ain't got no money, you just a regular person working to survive. Going to the nursing home is hell. And if you don't have somebody to advocate for you, it is a horrible experience. So my backup plan is my cousin, who is a junior at Morehouse. I told him, he was like, oh, you're going to be on Facebook Live. I was like, yeah. Tell me when you stop watching, because you are not the target audience. But he's 20 years old.
That's
and
good.
I told him, I said, I'm pouring into you now because you're going to take care of me when I get old. And when you graduate, we're going to sign some papers.
What's his name?
His name. Sorry.
Because I'm trying to get as many young people as I can. Yeah.
No, he's mine.
No. I'm saying we can share. Like
no.
He can have
he can only have one burden. That's me.
That is very smart. That is very smart to kind of like, engage someone who's young and you guys have a good relationship, and that is very smart.
Yeah, I need somebody to adopt me then. And we're going to be talking about that later on in the show as well. So I know that we touched on this, but do you all actually feel pressure from your family members and friends about having kids?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What does that look like for y'all in y'all life?
Just passive aggressive questions. So when you're gonna have some kids, you don't wait till you get too old. Things are, you're gonna wait till you get too old, not gonna be able to have any kids, stuff like that.
Yeah.
For me, so now it's like my extended family that I don't hang around with all the time, so they don't know my everyday life. And when I do go to family things, sometimes I wonder, and it could be just my own self saying this, but sometimes I feel like they look at me and wonder if I'm gay, because I've never brought a guy home. I never talk about a guy because I just really have high standards for myself. And so it's just like anybody coming into my life, they also have to meet these unrealistic expectations I've set for myself. So it's like, I'm not going to bring anybody to my family until like, I know like this is it. And then, and plus I don't want them to scare him away because my family's country and crazy. So, I'm just like, I hope they understand that I'm trying, and they just kind of look at me. You know, they don't really ask, they don't really say much, but they just look at me with some weird look. And I'm just like, I don't know what to tell y'all.
Do the look. What's the look?
It's like,
so silly, Latrice.
It's like,
look.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing? Well, what's going on with you?
Oh, that question.
You got a boyfriend yet?
Well, it's a thing with me. I am gay, so I get the whole. Well, I don't see how you gonna have any kids.
Oh God!
You know, well, how's that gonna work out? You know,
same way it always works out. Somebody gets pregnant. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But since you brought that up, Latrice, how old is your fiance?
She's actually watching. Jennifer Mitchell is my fiance.
Okay, hey Jennifer.
Yeah.
Look at support. Look at the support.
She's the same age as me. Well, she's getting ready to be. Her birthday is on the 18th of this month.
And how old are you?
Birthday.
Yeah. So 35. 35.
Okay. So did you guys just make the decision of who was going to have the child?
So she's gonna have the children because I'm not really able to have children because of fibroids and stuff like that.
Okay.
So she's gonna have the children, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other reasons why I wanted to have kids is because, you just want somebody. I just want to see what they will look like. And I'm so serious. Like, I just want to see like a little me,
Yeah.
But then you don't want it crying, and you don't want to wake
right.
you up.
You want to
like, you gotta make up your mind.
Well, just because everything I want $1 million. So,
$1 million, that's light work. I need you to ask for bigger.
Right, that is light work in today's time.
Can I get a boyfriend, and then can I get the husband, and then he can just bless me with the millions. But we do have a question on the floor. So the question from Doug is, would you consider having a child in your 40s?
Yeah. I mean, I would. I mean, I'm 41, so it's like
I don't know.
Either I am or I'm not, but I would. It's scary though. I have a lot of friends going through IVF right now. They're in their late 30s, early 40s, and it's a lot. It's very heartbreaking because you lived right. You weren't out here hoeing in these streets, pregnant at 16. You did everything you were supposed to do. You got married, and now you're ready. You think you're ready, and then the baby isn't coming, and you're spending thousands upon thousands of dollars injecting yourself with all this crap so you can have a baby, and it's just not happening, and it feels so
devastating.
Unfair. Yeah, it's so unfair. Or then you have like high-risk pregnancies and people having miscarriages, and like I think about Gabrielle Union. Like she had so many miscarriages, she forgot. Like she guesstimated.
Wow.
She guesstimated 9.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel that, okay, hopefully this does not sound wrong, but I feel that miscarriages are becoming so common that it's like everybody is at least having one miscarriage. That's what it seems like to me. Why is that?
Well, actually, miscarriages are very common. I think that what's coming out now is that we're hearing about them more. Like Michelle Obama, she was talking about it, and it was something that she never really talked about, but they're actually very common. So not to like put them on the low level, like, hey girl, you had a miscarriage, it don't mean a thing.
Yeah.
But they're actually very common if you like talk to a lot of OBGYNs, that they're unfortunately it's common.
But you got to think about what really happened in a miscarriage. It's the universe and nature's way of taking care of something that went wrong. And I know for a lot of people that feels like, oh, but when you think from a scientific standpoint, it's no different from when you have a cold and then your immune system attacks. Well, there's similar mechanisms in your body that if something goes wrong with that embryo at a certain point, your body will miscarry. And it's actually in a twisted way, it's actually a great thing in a very twisted way. It's one of those things, it's like, gosh, why does that have to be that way? But it really does, help us not have babies with, half a head or one leg, things like that.
Yeah, I hear you. So I'm glad that you brought up it's IVS, right?
IVF. V as in Victor. V as in Victor. The nurses tell us.
Vitro fertilization.
Yeah.
Okay. IVF. I'm glad that you brought that up, Felicia. And Doug said he wish he could jump on the show. Doug got some stuff to say to us. But let me ask you something. Have you guys ever considered freezing your eggs to just buy yourself some time?
I've heard about it, and I think I was the one that kind of like posed that question. And the reason why is because just like obviously before I had met my fiance and just like looking at options, because like a lot of African American women, I do have fibroids and I've actually had to get them removed last year. And so one of the things that I feel like is not all the rage, but it's very mentioned is that women who, want to invest in their career are thinking about like freezing their eggs, because it's not necessarily your womb that's the problem. It's the fact that your eggs, because you're only born with a certain amount of eggs, they get bad or whatever. And so
they expire.
They expire. So freezing your eggs is a really good option because, it kind of buys you a little bit more time, and it makes having a healthy baby in your 40s more easier. And I think a lot of celebrities have done it. Kim Kardashian has done it. Who else has done it? What is it? Sophia Vieira, the lady that played on what's her name? And I think there was somebody else that actually
Modern Family.
Modern Family. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people are doing it, but the thing about it is that it's very expensive because you have to pay, I think you pay like a monthly rate to get them
my freezer is good enough.
No, your freezer is not.
I'm like, do not eat that, y'all. Do not throw that out.
No, that is not how it works. That is not how it works. Well, here's the deal, like, by the time I thought about freezing my eggs and actually had the resources to do so, two things were happening. One, my mom and my grandma were sick, so I had to spend a lot of money traveling back home from where I was living, and I was living out of state at the time. And then two, I was in my mid-30s, and then it was more like, well, your eggs are kind of old right now. So it's like, they're like, you really should have froze your eggs in your 20s. And I'm like, in your 20s, you're broke.
You talking to yourself. You like, I should have did it earlier. I had no money.
I had no money.
Then I got the money, but they
$10,000.
Yeah.
But I don't have good eggs. So it's like, and I mean, I just had preliminary conversations. I never tested my eggs. I haven't tested my fertility. I always said, if I'm supposed to, it'll happen. Yeah. And if it's not, then it don't. And I guess I've kind of gotten okay with it. It's according on the day. So today I'm okay with it.
I know that's right. You do. I be looking at these dads and these moms and their little kids. I'm like, then those kids be crying in the store. I'm like, I'm so happy. I do not end up.
Jokes on you.
But Doug also said that, and this is great, Doug. He says having a child for me is the greatest joy that I have. That's so good, Doug.
I know he didn't have to give birth to it, but you know, it's so
That's
great.
right.
Right.
You didn't have hemorrhoids, and you didn't tear your vagina giving birth, and you didn't get cut open by C-section or any of those things. But have great joy, Doug.
But Joy, I mean, Doug, I love you. I'm glad that you are commenting and you are posting.
Yes, Doug. Yes.
But let me ask you all this. What do you think are some major misconceptions about adults without children?
That we got a lot of money, and
Exactly.
I don't
we
have
money to give other people.
I don't have money for you. Okay.
We don't have real responsibilities.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
got a
main one.
whole mortgage by myself. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you got a whole mortgage with 2 incomes. Don't come for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time we do this show, that's a great question.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's so crazy because, and you let me know if you guys ever do this. I know that because you know I am still praying about my husband. Who is that? Who is that? I hear him rumbling. But let me ask y'all this. So I know that there are plenty of baby showers I went to and weddings I went to and things like that. And you know, I'm still hopeful and I'm still prayerful that God blesses me with those things. And I'm like, you know, I need to have my own little showers, you know, because I support everybody else and come to their weddings. I'm like, I need to have something. I need to have this. I got a new car shower.
Sometimes a grand
cracking up over here.
So, but I'm like, come on.
So here's how I look at that stuff, Martinique. I really look at it as, you know, it's a blessing that I can come to your baby shower. It's a blessing that I can buy you something. It's a blessing that I can give. And I give it from a place of, I know anytime I give anything, whether I give my tithes at church or offering, whether I help a friend out, whatever I'm putting out into the earth, it comes back to me 11 million fold. Yeah. So I don't ever have to feel like, well, when's my turn? Because my turn is always today in all the blessings that I have. And then every day more blessings show themselves. And if I can get out of my head around all the things I don't have and stay focused on the gratitude, then you can let that stuff go. Because when it's your time, people are going to show up and show out for you with the same or more energy.
Definitely. And you know, I say that jokingly, but in back of my mind, I'm serious.
Well, you only human. We're all human. You know, your friends,
you like
all the wedding announcements and all the babies. You know, oh, I'm pregnant. I know so many people pregnant right now, but for every person I know that's pregnant right now, I know a woman that's quietly and silently suffering through her fertility journey. So, life.
So, what would you actually say to women who, or even men, what would you say to these adults that, well, for women right now, what would you say to them that feel that they're actually less of a woman because they have not had any children yet?
I feel it's nothing wrong with waiting. You know, it's not, a lot of times just being in society, it's like we set unrealistic expectations, or you have this white picket fence, you know, whole scenario. By this date, I need to be married. By this date, I need to be graduated from college. By this date, I need to have a house. By this time, I should have this many kids. And then when we don't hit that timeline that we set, then we feel less of. You know, everything is in timing. Everything is in perfect timing. You know, if you choose not to have kids and focus on your career, it's nothing wrong with that. If you choose to be a stay-at-home wife and have a bunch of kids, it's nothing wrong with that. You know, different people make the world go round. Everyone is not supposed to be a cookie cutter and be the same. So, you know, you shouldn't feel less than if you don't have any children. You really shouldn't.
I have a question for you guys. So when I hear that, I personally, I've never felt less of a woman because I don't have kids. Like, I've never tied my womanhood to childhood. I mean, I could see where people would do that, but I think part of that is because I'm Black. And so I already have things that I have to fight in the world as a Black woman.
True.
And the fact that I don't have kids is sometimes actually a win. So I'm like, in certain situations. So for me, I didn't grow up with this is what you had to do. Not saying your family doesn't put certain weird pressures on you because of society, but I feel like that's more of a Susan thing. That, you know, it's I feel like they have that pressure because they're the standard in a way in society, and I don't feel like I feel that pressure the same.
Yeah,
I would say I do.
yeah.
You know, especially being Black women, you know, it's like even within our own community, if you decide that you want to pursue your career and not get married yet and not have children, like you're judged, you're looked down upon.
Well, yeah.
You know, when you get a certain age and you're unmarried and you don't have kids, people judge you. You have to be gay. It has to be something wrong with you, you know, either physically or you're crazy as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It can't just be like, you know what? I don't want to have children yet because I want to further my career. I want to travel and I want to live the best life I can. It can't be that. It has to be something wrong with you. That's why you don't have no kids.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for me, what I would tell someone who wanted to have kids and couldn't have kids was like, I'm sure like that's totally normal. And I definitely would grieve for them. But I would also tell them that, you know, there's so many advancements in science that just don't take one person's opinion, because there have been a lot of people that I know who've been told, oh, you can't have kids, and you know, they go ahead and accept that, and whether whatever happens, they end up having kids. So I would just say, don't take that one person's opinion. You know, there's other doctors, seek help, seek fertility help, and there's lots of more options that you could consider besides, you know, having the baby physically yourself.
And I'm a living testimony to that, what you just said, because the doctor told my mom over and over and over again she'd never be able to have a kid. And clearly,
you are here.
I am here.
You are here.
So don't believe the hype. If that's what you've prayed for and that's what you've asked God for, you just have to know it's in your time. Now, I know we're not out here trying to be Sarah's. I know I'm not even trying to live to 99, and let alone be pregnant at 99. Like, I can't wrap. I know. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Doug asked, I've heard, and this is more so a comment, and I know that you're in the medical field, Shunna. So he says, I've heard that abortions helps in the frequency of miscarriages. Is that true?
I have to say, I really don't know. I've never like looked into any of that. Yeah. So, I know that sometimes, like, if the doctor maybe feels you're going to miscarriage, like they know that something's wrong with the pregnancy, they might go ahead and move things along, like give, like the baby is malformed or something like that, and it's pretty early on, they might give something to actually, it's considered an abortion, but it was going to happen anyway. But I'm not too sure about that, and I'm not an expert. That's not my particular field, so he'd have to ask an expert about that.
Yeah. So Felicia, I know that you started to mention the 20-year-old that, you know, you've had this upfront and open conversation with, and when me and my 3 nieces and nephews was sitting at the table at Denny's. I just sprung this question on them, and I was and it wasn't really a question, it was a comment, but I was just more so letting them know, y'all know I don't have any kids, so I really need y'all to house me when I become a certain age. Now these are 14, 12, and 10-year-olds, and so I asked the female 10-year-old. I said, could I stay with you? She was, yeah, you could. I'm like, okay. And so then my nephews, it's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm your aunt. You're supposed to say yes. I'm like, where is there some hesitation? I don't get it. So do you guys ever think about who will care for you when you can no longer care for yourself because you don't have any kids?
Absolutely. It's scary at that. Yeah. It's like
scary.
It's scary at that, because in my head I think, well, I need to make a certain amount of money so that when I get old, I can be in a good nursing home that's like gonna keep me clean and not, be hitting me upside my head type situation. But it's like, seriously, but it's scary because you don't have kids, and if you have your parents have you, because you're their children, but you don't have any children. So who do you have? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I think in my mind, I know my financial goals in the next 10 years. So I think I've just always thought that I'd be able to hire people to take care of me. That's my plan. And even if I did have kids, so let's say I had kids, I personally don't want to necessarily burden their adult lives.
True.
With my care. And not saying my mom was a burden or anything. Like I'm happy and proud to have done everything that I could for her. But at the end of the day, the real truth of it is, I think about how further financially along I may have been had I not had to step in and do all of the things that I had to do for my mother and my grandmother. So, and being an only child, I don't have anybody, or didn't have anybody to share that load with.
That's good.
But I want to also, on the flip side, I didn't have anybody to argue with when they died. So it was all on me.
Yeah.
I like how you think, Felicia. Everything got an upside to it.
That is really good.
You have to. Like, I think about, so come this September, now mind you, right now I'm not working. I'm in a struggling entrepreneurial venture. And I'm still going to the Seychelles for my friend's 40th birthday. So like, I couldn't do that if I had kids.
That's true.
So like, it's like, you make the best of the plate you've been given.
That's true. So, what about you, Shunna? What do you think about that? Have you ever started to, think about your living arrangements or who was going to care for you since you don't have any kids yet?
I think that, like, definitely as a nurse, especially when I used to work bedside, you kind of saw it, like, and it was sad to say, like, the people that didn't have that family member coming in and advocating for them generally got less good care, because it's always good for a family caregiver to come out and say, hey, what's going on? Did so-and-so get clean today? Oh, I didn't see this happening, just to kind of like move things along. So that's one of the things that's always in the back of your head. But just like Felicia said, I don't want to be a burden to my kids. And so my kids,
I don't mind being a burden to them.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You'd
be like, you owe me. You owe me.
They didn't ask to be born.
Life.
Well,
they did not ask you to be born. You the one that had the good time to get them.
That's what I tell my mama. I tell my mama the same thing, Felicia. I be like, you the one that had the good time.
But you want your kids to take care of you.
I do.
Absolutely.
Martinique, you can't have it both ways.
Oh God, yeah.
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that you brought that up, Felicia, and then you brought that up again, Shunna. You know, having somebody to fight for you. I honestly never thought about that. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this show, because I always associated kids with taking care of their parents. And that's why, and I don't want to make this sound like I'm thirsty or anything, but that's why I love me some African American men. They are like my first choice. But that's why I like men from other cultures, because that's one of the conversations I'll have, you know, with my potential mate when it's like a second or third date conversation. Like, are you okay with my mom living with us? Mm-hmm. You know, because I just feel that my mom did all of this stuff for me throughout the years. Why wouldn't I at least try to take care of her? And I guess that's how I felt about kids, that I don't have any kids. My wheels are turning. Who is going to take care of Martinique? Yeah. And so I feel like I'm an entrepreneur, so I feel like that could be a cool little business to adopt a young person to care for these people, like to be their advocate for these people. I'm serious, Felicia, we need to jump on this, because there's so many possibly elderly people that do not have anybody advocating for them.
Right.
Yes.
And so the only flaw in your business model is that usually the people that don't have people to advocate them are really poor.
Well, we're going to target some other people.
Dang. You're not even going to try to get any grants.
Right. Oh, that's a good one.
See, just don't target the rich old moms.
Let me tell you something. That's like, why I need other. Let me tell you something.
Broke, I can't help you.
But Latrice, that's why I need to talk to people, because, you know, I be thinking one way, but then somebody else will bring another idea. I didn't even think about the grant. That is good. That's
She's like, well, we gonna get some other people with money. We need people with money.
That sounds so harsh. But y'all, you got to support our advocates for the elderly 101.
We do need more people to advocate
for the elderly. I never thought about that though. That's good, y'all. That's good. It's also sad. It's also sad. Yeah. Because the fact that, Shunna, you are in the medical field and you see that, you know, it's really, that's sad. But let me ask you something, Latrice. Have you and your fiance actually started with the having a baby process yet?
We haven't. Okay. We'll wait until we get married.
And I was like, can they get married first?
Well, I mean, I didn't want anybody that's viewing the show and be thinking, well, Martinique, why you ask this question?
Yeah, we're waiting until we get married, but she said as soon as we're married, we're gonna hop into it.
So you're not gonna wait a little bit?
No, we're gonna hop right into it.
Nobody's waiting.
No one's waiting.
There's no more time.
On this talk here, no one's waiting.
No time.
Full steam ahead. Full steam ahead.
That's just like the doctor that removed my fibroids. He was like, well, Ms. Brown, I think if you're going to, because I had a myomectomy. And so I preserved the surgery that I had at 35. I preserved my uterus. And so he was like, Ms. Brown, you need to, if you're going to have some kids, you need to have them. I'm like,
don't get it cracking.
I'm like, thank you, doctor. Please pray for my future boyfriend first. And then maybe we can have some kids.
It might just go straight from you met him to married. Sometimes it happens like that.
It ain't gonna happen like that.
You never see?
I don't want it to happen like that. See,
don't beliefs do you have that's preventing you from?
Well, that's a different show, everyone. Don't say
that. Don't say that.
But so I know that we started talking about, you know, planning for the future. Have you all actually started planning for your future because you do not have any kids, or Shunna and Latrice, because you are like, well, you know, we got spouses now. I mean, we have fiancés now. We're gonna get this show on the road. So like maybe you don't even think about that part anymore. Y'all tell me.
I have to say, like, I have, like, just like me being a single person, I have like looked into like things like how much does long-term care insurance cost? And just like when you look at it, it's like it's all over the place. It's uncertain. And it's one of those things where you're like, you really don't want to think about it, because with all the things that you have to pay for, you're like, I don't have kids. Should I consider like with long-term care insurance? Like, is that an option? Mm-hmm. But I mean, I have to say, I'm like one of those people where I'm like, well, whatever. I'm not going to even consider doing that. But I mean, I think not just for people without kids, everybody should be thinking about their future. Mm-hmm. Because as Felicia said, it's a financial burden. Like, even if you have kids, and even if you have like 4 or 5 kids, when you get older, there's like so many things that you still have to pay for. You still have you have a lot more medical bills if your house isn't paid off, car note, those mm-hmm. kind of things. So
yeah, true.
It's just something like people who like kids are not necessarily insurance, and your kids might not be able to afford it. Like, things are so expensive nowadays that like who can afford to like help your mother out, pay her bills or whatever.
So. While you still paying your student loans?
That's what our generation is going to be paying for, our student loans.
Student loans, absolutely.
You're 90 years old. Why are you paying student loans?
Right. That's a solid degree right there.
Yeah.
Those loans are above me now.
Those are your kids right now.
You gonna send your loans to the Best Western?
Yeah. Oh my God. Western's right next door.
You're above me.
Those loans are above me at this point.
But Felicia, so I know that you said that you have the 20-year-old that you do want to have this conversation with. What are other ways that you have begun to start planning for your long term?
I'm gonna tell y'all, I have been a hypocrite. When you go through significant loss of parents and you start to realize how important paperwork is, how important having your will, power of attorneys, medical power of attorneys, all those things, like I know those things are important. And I guess in my mind, I'm just convinced that God is not going to have me die anytime soon.
Look at you.
I'm just like, you know, because the life, and there's things that I have to do. So I always fuss at people with their parents. I tell them, like, have these conversations with your parents now. Don't wait, because every day they're closer to death. So, and you don't want to wait until they're in a hospital bed and they can't answer, and then you're scrambling or you're arguing with your siblings. Like, get all that stuff done while they talking, and it's hard. Like, you don't want to do it. I remember my grandma, she straight cursed me out, like all the MFs and all that. Yeah. When I made her sit down and sign her burial insurance, like the insurance guy came to our house. I said, look, I'm gonna put you in a pine box if you don't sign this. And she cussed me from here to Sunday, and then she signed it. But if she hadn't, I would have been stuck with $8,000 worth of funeral expenses. But because she did, I didn't have to pay anything. And that was a couple of years before she died. Like 2 years before she died. So it was like, you know, you just have to do it. And so for myself, like when Ira graduates, that's my deadline to get all my paperwork done, all my stuff done, even though I know I'm probably most likely not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. So
God willing.
Yeah, like, trust. He's like, you're here. I'm like, are you sure I can't go be with my mom? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, fine. So like, here I am. And and I know, like, I do need to do that stuff so that if these people, I plan for these people to do XYZ, and like I have properties and this and that. So I gotta take care of some things so it's not chaotic for people I'm leaving behind. If you love your family, you love the people, you will take care of your shit before you go. Because when you don't, and no wheels under couch cushions and all that mess. And even now, like my grandfather's wife, she didn't have a will. So I have to pay an attorney to go do all this stuff, which I haven't done because she didn't have a will. All that property didn't automatically transfer over to my grandfather, which now means I have to pay a lawyer to untangle all this stuff between me and her side of the family, who she has all these siblings with all these children. And see, she didn't have any kids. Had she had a kid, then it would be a moot point because she didn't have any kids. Now guess who's stuck with another legal bill for a piece of property like 1/10 of an acre? Me. Yeah. I gotta figure that. It's on the to-do list, but it costs money.
Yeah.
But because she didn't take care of it ahead of time, now you're leaving people burdens and financial burdens, and it's not fair. So don't be that person.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say, Felicia, when you said that, immediately what popped in my head was Prince, because he kind of like that. He didn't have any children, and it's just a hot mess. How do you not have a living will and have all that money?
Who are your business managers?
Yeah. And then the music went back to the company that he was trying to get it from.
Right. That's the horrible part.
You spent your life trying to fight and get your music, and now
it went right back.
See, that's the thing, because he thought the elevator wasn't going to take him down.
It ended up taking him down.
Died right there in the elevator.
All the way to the basement.
To the basement.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something, Shunna. So I know that you mentioned long-term care insurance. And the reason why I like to have these shows is because I honestly don't do any of that insurance stuff. Like the insurance I have is my car insurance. And so with long-term care insurance, Shunna, is that I'm gonna get it together. That's why I have these shows, so I can learn more and so I can share them with you all. But Shunna, so with long-term care insurance, what are you specifically doing with that? Are you paying a monthly amount? And anybody else that has information on this, tell me, Latrice and Felicia. But are you paying a monthly? Are you paying a monthly amount, and then that money is going towards your like maybe your nursing home? Like, what is that for?
Yeah, and so again, I just want to put a disclaimer out. I am not an expert, so I am not. Shunna said, no, do not say that. So when you're older, a lot of times what gets people financially is if they have to go into the nursing home, and specifically for people who have funds, like for example, if you have a house and you need to go into a nursing home, if you don't have long-term care insurance, the nursing home would take your house as payment for the nursing home because you have property, you have assets. Mm-hmm. Now it's almost to your advantage. And a lot of people, what they do is before they get, before they need like long-term care, they would like sign off their house and all their money and funds to their relatives like years in ahead, because it has to be a certain amount of time before the nursing home is unable to get it. But having long-term care insurance is something for people who want to, like, it's just like any old insurance. You're just paying for the cost of nursing homes. So that way you wouldn't have to go to like one of those nursing homes that are, not that well run, and it's just for people who have the funds aside. But when you look at like long-term care insurance, because it's a relatively new thing, because keep in mind, when people got older, they just went to their family's house. But now, because people are living so much longer, they sometimes need more care or more specialized care, and so they need to go into a nursing home. So that's just an option for someone who, you know, has funds and, you know, wants to make sure that they go, if they have to go into a nursing home, they want to make sure that they go into a nice nursing home.
So I'm going to piggyback off of that and share my experience with my mom after she got diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. So my mom had to retire, and when she was working, she did not pay for the LTI because she was just making so little, and she never thought she would need it. And so because of that, what happened is that then she had to depend on disability and Medicaid, not Medicare, but Medicaid. And every state is different. So fortunately in the state of Texas, what we have is called homestead laws. So homestead laws allow you to keep your house, but you cannot have more than $2,000 in assets outside of your house. So my mom had to get rid of her car, and then she had to spend that money. And she basically had to be completely broke in order to get Medicaid to pay for the nursing facility. Now, the Medicaid approved nursing facilities are trash. Let's just be real clear. And so she still had to pay. So she was getting her disability and she was getting her little pension, which wasn't a lot of money. And so they still took a copay out of her little money, and it's everything that she got every month less $60. So she got to keep $60 every month, and they took everything else. So anything that she needed, I had to pay for, because what's $60? Like, it's nothing. And she hated the food because the food was disgusting. So I would come down and get her food so she wouldn't have to suffer more than what she was suffering. But had she had the LTI, she could have gone into a private nursing facility that would have been more of, oh, we're paying you all this money. Well, those facilities start, and this was 10 years ago, mind you, those facilities start at like 10 grand a month. That's start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I don't know what it is now, but it's way more than that now. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is an important conversation. Like, you don't want to sleep on this, Martinique.
I'm not, don't just point me out.
You lead it. I know, but I don't know
I guess
y'all like
you know
that.
me.
Yeah, I don't know y'all enough to call y'all out like that. Don't call her out.
Everybody out.
See how she do me, viewers. Martinique.
Yeah,
Oh.
but you like think about it. Like, do I want to go on vacation or do I want to pay for long-term care insurance?
Well, let's just hope you don't
YOLO
have some crazy on your vacation. I mean, you need to plan for both. You need to plan for both.
Yeah, you think
now,
about
I'm saying all this as a hypocrite. I had long-term insurance when I was working, but now as an entrepreneur, I don't. So I need to figure that out as well in case something happens to me.
Yeah.
But I am, you know, all jokes aside, I'm so happy that we're talking about this. And I just want to read off a couple figures for you all. So it actually says, and these figures are actually from the CDC.gov. And it says in 2016, there are 15,600 nursing homes here in the United States. In 2015, there were 1.3 million residents in nursing homes. So that leads me to this next question. With knowing these figures, think about it, like, is it safe to assume that just because you have children doesn't necessarily mean that they will take care of you when you can no longer care for yourself?
Absolutely.
I got 2 words: Menendez brothers.
Oh,
we don't
man.
talk about the killers.
They were horrible. That's old school. That's old
So
school.
if that's the
Menendez
worst,
brothers.
if that's the worst that can happen,
And they had everything. And they had everything.
and you just back that on up, and you hope your kids over here, but
yeah,
you don't know.
Yeah, you gotta make sure your finances are all together
Yeah.
and in order.
You don't know what you're raising. You could be the most wonderfulest person. You could pour all the love you have inside. Personalities are personalities. Like they're just born with whatever personality. So you could have a complete narcissist. Like, think about it. Do you think that our current person that's holding the office of president hostage, do you think he really took care of his parents when they got old? Like,
no, they had money. Not at all.
Right. But even if they didn't have money, he wasn't going to be the one.
Oh, he wasn't going to take care of them?
No.
Well,
you could have, that could be your child.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked that question is because, like I said at the beginning of the show, that's what I automatically thought of with not having kids. Who is going to take care of me? And so I tried to get individuals on the show that was over 60. And so they told, they kindly told me, well, Martinique, no, I'm not going to be on your show. So I said, oh, okay. And so one of my coworkers, and she's probably about 60 to 65, she was just saying to me, I don't understand your correlation in thinking that just because you have kids that they're going to take care of their elderly parent. And I thought about that. And I actually used to work at a nursing home. And you knew of some of the residents that family did not come and visit them. Mm-hmm. So I guess that was pretty naive of me to think that just because I have a child, that they're automatically going to take care of me, And so what are y'all thoughts about that though? Like you get comfortable, Felicia.
I mean, we see situations where people have 5, 6 kids, you know what I mean? Or maybe in your own family, you have that auntie had 8, 9 kids and they're still in a nursing home and the kid's not doing anything, so just having children is not going to guarantee, that someone's going to help you out. You got to kind of have your own. And if your children do, go ahead and step in and help out. That's a blessing. But if not, you got to make sure that you're secure. You got to make sure you're secure.
Yeah. So what do y'all think, Felicia?
The same expectation that it was. It's not the same expectation that we care for our parents like it was. Like this generation, there's no expectation of them. Like I think for us, the generation before us and so on, I think there was an expectation that you take care of your elders. And this society, we don't have that. It's extremely individualistic. It's extremely capitalistic. It's extremely, well, what about my self-care? And I got to just take care of me and me. And we're, although I believe in self-care, especially for people who are giving their all to everybody but them, that's one extreme. But then we see so many people on the other extreme of, I ain't worried about nobody but myself. And so you just don't know how your kids are going to grow up to be. And, we're human. Your kids are human. And then one day your kids are going to wake up and realize you're just a human.
Don't say it like that, girl.
It's true. It's true. Like one day you realize like this superwoman being that I thought you were, like, you're not. Like, oh, well, damn. Okay. And you don't know how your child is going to contend with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think, Shunna Dean?
I definitely see, like, I feel like nowadays, because like I said, people are living longer and they have like what we call comorbidities. So they're sicker.
I know that we talked about some pretty personal things, and I really just appreciate you for being on the show. Why were you willing to specifically talk about this topic?
I was willing to talk about it because it is something that I feel, like I said, is a pressure and something that comes up a lot, especially when you're a certain age and you don't have children. I feel it's a lot of like stigmas and, things that are attached to it when you don't have children and you're a certain age. So, and I think it's something that everyone kind of brushes it under the rug. It's not really talked about out in the open. Mm-hmm. People that have kids talk about it, but people without, it's not really just talked about in the open like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think for me, I've just always been super honest, and I never felt like I have anything to hide. And I always feel like, hey, if you can learn something from the stuff I've gone through, great, because hopefully there was a purpose for all this mm-hmm. Life that I've lived in these 41 years. And I think it's important for us to share these stories because there's a lot of people feeling isolated, feeling like they're the only ones feeling this way, when in actuality, everybody feeling a certain kind of way. And the problem is, now that we are on a social media society, all you see is the pretty second of a picture. But if you ask a lot of those people what was happening at picture, you're like, oh, me and my man, we just had a fight, or me and my man, we about to get divorced. Like I have seen so many people front on social media, and I know their real story. Yeah. And it's kind of ridiculous. It's like, okay, but everybody's fronting now, and that's okay. But then you sitting up there looking at all that, taking all that in as if, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Mm-hmm. And it's like, we're just all being human. Like, everybody's a person. So we got ups, we got downs, we got boring days, exciting days. Like, it's just a roller coaster of life. And so don't get it twisted by looking at pictures.
That's good.
Yeah. To piggyback off of what you said, Felicia, it's like social media, people can be whatever they want to be on social media. You know what I mean? Like, you'll know someone, like you said, you'll personally know someone, right? You'll know their situation. You'll personally know this person, but on social media, they're a whole different person, Yeah. So that plays a lot into it, because on social media, you're not going to show your downs. You know what I mean? You're just going to show your ups. And that's what a lot of people do. So people on the outside looking in, they'll be like, oh, that person has such a great life. They got it going on. They got a, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. They're making tons of money. And that person could be living on their mama's couch, catching the bus.
Be depressed
and
suicidal.
Yeah, absolutely. So social media, it plays a big part in a lot of things nowadays. I was talking to one of my coworkers, and it's like, we're so attached to social media. A lot of times, we'll wake up in the morning, and the first thing you'll do is grab your phone and check your social media while you're in the bathroom or you're on the side of the bed. And it's like, damn, you ain't even thank God for waking you up, and you on the Facebook. You know what I mean? So it's really intertwined. It's intertwined with our lives, real heavy.
Something's bugging me, and I have to ask y'all about it, because what we were talking about earlier about, do you feel less of a woman? And I don't know if it's because I got these big old breasts that I will never feel less of a woman. I don't know, but I just, like, help me. Can y'all unpack that? Because I'm like, I have a period, I have a uterus, I got these tig-o bitties. Like, there's no way, just because I don't have a child, that I'm less of a woman. Like, I like, that just never
crossed your mind.
Yeah. Or even now that I think about it, I'm like, No, in fact, I got too much womanly. Like, here, let me give you some. Like, I don't understand. Help me understand that feeling.
Well, let me ask the viewers. Why do you think an individual would feel less of a woman because they don't have any kids? And I'm just going to tell you from my point of view. I've never felt less of a woman because I don't have any kids. The reason why I ask that question is because I know that there are possibly females watching that may need that comfort to know
Absolutely.
that you are still 100% who God created you to be, even though you don't have any kids, because God is the one that blesses us with those kids. But I cannot relate actually to that question, but I guess I could see how society puts so much pressure
Absolutely.
on these women that don't have any kids, with the constant questions of how come you haven't X, Y, and Z yet,
Absolutely.
to make you think that there is something wrong with you, as to why I don't have X, Y, and Z yet, and so I wanted to just pose that question, but I know that it took me time to accept Martinique, and this is like along the same lines of me being single. Like, it's not a matter of something's wrong with you because you're single, at 36 without any kids. It's a matter of why you're doing this. I don't want to just take any Joe Blow just to say that I'm in a relationship.
I don't want to settle.
Yes,
And a lot of people do. A lot of people do.
They do.
And I don't want people to get it twisted that I couldn't get a guy. I just don't want any. Yeah, I just don't want any.
Listen, if you want penis, you can get all the penis you want. Like, that's not the problem.
And it's not a problem with getting a guy, being married, because I can be all those things right now. But it's just that I didn't feel that God had called me to that person. And I said, you know what? I refuse to do something based off of a whim or based off of how I'm feeling right now to affect my future. Right. And so, I'm just like, y'all, and I'm more comfortable with it. I just joke. I mean, I laugh along with my uncle that was like, well, when you gonna have some kids? I'm like, Uncle, hey, you know somebody? Why don't you go ahead and
see someone?
Right. Tell them to give me a text. Tell them to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
So, Shunna's back. Let her in.
I'm trying to. Thanks, Felicia. I'm trying to. Okay, so Felicia, I mean, not Felicia, but Shunna, if you can hear me, if you can go ahead and get out of Zoom and then totally get out of Zoom and then click back on that link that I sent you, and then hopefully I'll be able to reconnect you on to there. But I do have a question for you too. How can family members or family members or friends support someone that does not have kids? What do y'all think?
Stop asking.
Yeah.
Stop asking. It ain't your business. Stay out my uterus.
Yeah.
Stay out my bedroom. Mm-hmm. Stop asking, especially now my friends who are going through their fertility journey. So they're married. So then the pressure is more on when you married and ain't got no kids. See, when you single and got no kids, you might be able to slide on
pass.
Right. But when you married, you ain't got no kids. The first thing out of air, it ain't, hey, how you
gonna have some kids?
When y'all gonna have some kids?
Yep.
Y'all gonna have some kids? You're pregnant. Like, and I had to check myself because my best friend, after she got married, I knew, it's that egg gonna get on it. So every time she would call me, I'd be like, you got news? And I had to realize, like, pause, Felicia. Like, I'm excited. We're excited. But then as she went along in her fertility journey and things were happening, it's like, that's pain. That just brings up pain. So now I'm real conscious of, how I ask how she's doing, because I know she's going through this moment of disappointment right now. So stop asking. Leave people alone.
Are you saying that the best friend is doing the fertility, or
she's doing IVF right now? Okay. And so in going through the journey of trying to get pregnant. So again, I did everything right. I'm supposed to, we're supposed to get this train on the road, but it's not happening. And it's just like, and then you have all these people saying, when the baby, where the baby, baby, we want baby. And then you feeling a certain kind of way because the baby ain't in there yet. And you don't know why. And you doing everything you can, and you spending all this money, and you going out your way, your husband looking at you, you looking at you, and then all your friends looking at you. Like it's just uncomfortable. Like it's just not fair.
Yeah. And I never thought about that until one of my friends, and she got married when she was over, we'll say 33. And so, I was just asking her, because that was my friend, instead of, I'm cool with the guy, but I just felt more comfortable asking her. And I would just ask her, when are you guys going to start having kids? And she said to me, she was just very honest with it, and she said, we're trying, and I just can't get pregnant yet. And I was just like, that is such a raw and genuine response. And it's like, you don't know what these couples are doing. Yeah, they could be trying. Maybe she just can't have kids yet. Right. And that's just like when somebody announces that they're pregnant and then they lose the child. They have to constantly go over like what happened to that child. And it's like you said, it's just bringing up again over and over, like that tragedy. I truly do thank you, Felicia, and Latrice, and Shunna Dean, for just being on the show and really just giving some insight to our viewers about, how we feel about our living arrangements, as well as, not having any kids, and, just being, I appreciate you guys just being very transparent, on the show. And you all, like I said, thank you for viewing and taking time to watch the show. You could be watching anything, on Facebook, but you have decided to tune in to the show today. Another thing, go ahead and follow us on our Facebook pages, our YouTube pages, as well as our Instagram. And if you truly enjoy the shows that I produce, you are welcome to give a financial gift. All of my links are in the description box as well, CashApp or GoFundMe. I will talk to you all later, and you all have a blessed day. Bye-bye.